Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Shay Explores Daily, and today I'm here in Cambridge again at this museum behind me, the Cambridge Museum of Zoology. Behind me is another museum, just like the Fitzwilliam Museum that I saw last week, which is actually owned by the University of Cambridge. The only difference is that this one, obviously, as the name suggests, is in regards to zoology, so anything to do with any kind of life forms. So we're talking fossils for dinosaurs, sea creatures, so on and so forth. So we're going to go inside now and have a look and see what it has to offer. Let's go inside and have a look. So as you can see, this bit talks about starfishes and sea creatures basically, and you can see a huge variety of them right here in front of me. So I can see right here a long spined slate pen sea urchin. So guys, globally there is around 7,000 species of starfishes found around the world. All these fishes here that you can see, these are all jawless fishes. So this is a Osteostrachy, I'll put it on the screen. This is a Placoderme, and this here is a Cocostestus, and these are all types of jawless fishes basically, going back 500 million years. And here you can see a huge variety of shark teeth basically. So this one right here in front of me, this one is from a Requiem shark. This one here is from a Ganges shark. This is from a short fin mako, a dusty shark, and so on and so forth. And these here are all different types of sharks. So this here is a milk shark. That one there is a bone-fed shark. And as we move down, this one here is a Port Jackson shark. You've got here I can't pronounce that, I'm going to put it on the screen, as Chilocilium indicum. And as you can see, a huge variety right here. You've got some smaller sharks as well. These are velvet belly lantern sharks. Remember guys that we only think of one or two species or types of sharks or fish, whatever. But you have to remember the ocean takes up about 70% of the world's surface, and there's so many different species of fish and so on and so forth that we haven't even heard of down below. So guys, this whole section talks about coral reefs and the threats that it faces. So you can see a rough sketch here of a coral reef ecosystem basically. So you can see different kinds of corals there. So on the left you've got a knob coral, sunflower coral in the middle, and on the right you've got an anchor coral. These are all different types of corals here basically. And as we know, over the last few decades or so, lots of coral reefs unfortunately have been damaged or destroyed. And this just talks about the threat pretty much of all the coral reefs. So you can see you've got a bubble coral there, an organ pipe coral, and coral reefs are at threat from things like plastic, pollution, and so on and so forth. And this here is called a giant clam basically, pretty much. This grows up to 1.3 meters in size and can weigh up to 300 kilograms. So this whole section talks about reptiles and lizards basically. And as we all know, these creatures have gone back millions and millions of years. But over the centuries, they've actually changed form and size to adapt to their environment. Let's have a little look around and see what's here. But there are so many species of reptiles and so on that we don't even know a lot about. So let's have a look. So for example, you can see there you've got that's called a tuatara. These are all from New Zealand actually. So these are all reptiles from New Zealand, pretty much. So that's called a Spendodon punchatum. That's a shingleback lizard. As we keep going, and then we get to Australia. So this one here in front of me is called a Delma impar, which is the one right there. And then this big thing right here is called a marine iguana basically. And this actually goes back to, I think it's from Galapagos. You've got a Nile monitor lizard right there. You've got a parentine lizard as well. You've got a frilled lizard that comes from Western Australia. Then here we've got the turtles. So this here is called an alligator snapping turtle, and it can weigh up to 100 kilos, that can. Then you've got some more hair in front of me. This one here is a Burmese star tortoise, pretty much. And this is the skull of a loggerhead turtle. This is a fossil skull of an extinct horned turtle, basically. So this is from around sort of 47 million years ago, and it was believed to be from South America and Australia. So behind me you've got the skeleton here of a Komodo dragon. Now these creatures are still around, and I think they're mainly in Asia if I'm not mistaken, but they are very, very, very strong predators. They are the top of their food chain, and I've seen videos of them how fast they are. These creatures here are very, very fast. They don't look fast, but they're very, very fast, and I think they catch their prey with like their venom in their tongue, if I'm not mistaken. So a very, very cool creature this is, by the way. And here you've got a variety of crabs. So this big one here is called a edible crab. It is mainly used for food actually in Western Europe, including here in the UK. This here is a spinny spooner crab, basically. You've got here a brown land crab, and then you've got a European spider crab. There are over 70,000 species of crab alive today, by the way. 70,000. Yet again, spiders. So basically, you've got here a tarantula, which everyone knows. You've got another tarantula here, a smaller one. And then you've got a giant house spider. And birds, basically. So this one here is called a shoebill bird, right here. You've got further down there in the middle, that is a Ascension Frigate bird. This here is a Chilean flamingo. Obviously comes from Chile, obviously South America. And then you've also got here as well, you've got a little spotted kiwi, which is the official animal, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, of New Zealand. They're called kiwis. So birds are quite unique in the sense that obviously they live in certain habitats, and certain birds can only be found in certain locations. Birds have been used over centuries for research and conservation efforts to understand their patterns of behavior and so on and so forth. So birds are a very, very interesting creature. You have to remember as well, some birds naturally migrate hundreds and thousands of miles to get food and so on and so forth. So insects. So originally I'm from the Caribbean, so I'm very used to these kind of creatures here. So for example, grasshoppers and crickets. So crickets, you don't see them, but you hear them, especially at night in tropical countries. You hear these a lot, basically. Grasshoppers, you definitely see those pretty much. And then here you've got some stick and leaf insects. So for example, this is a Malayan jungle nymph, obviously coming from Malaysia. That's also one as well. And as you move down, you've got obviously butterflies, and then you've got the less glamorous ones, like for example beetles. So this is a Titan beetle, pretty much. That's a scarab beetle. This is a Goliath beetle. These are longhorn beetles, obviously because the horns you can see are very long. That's self-explanatory. And as you can see, you've got smaller ones like jewel beetles, rhinoceros beetles, and so on and so forth. And then the most glamorous insects, so butterflies basically. So you've got down here, these are called tropical butterflies. So as you can see, there's a huge variety of colours. So you've got a green one there, you've got one that's brown and white, you've got one that's orange, one that's fully yellow, and so on and so forth. So these are obviously different types of tropical butterflies. This one is called an atlas moth, pretty much. These are also called tropical moths as well. And these are called British moths. So they're a lot smaller, but as you can see yet again, the huge variety of colours of each of them. So guys, everything you see in this cabinet behind me is actually dead animals that were actually preserved. So these were all put in fluid to use their bodies for research, for obviously research purposes going forward. So in here you see a huge variety of things, like for example insects and so on and so forth, but they have taken the bodies of these creatures and use it for research going forward to discover behaviours and so on. So this here is a skeleton of a Burmese python, which is one of the largest snakes on Earth. And as the name suggests, it's native to Burma or Myanmar in Southeast Asia. So here you've got a diagram of how long it is, as you can see. So it goes all the way from there, and stretches in front of me all the way to the other end. I can't show you, it's right there basically. And in total, I believe there is 520 ribs from there all the way down to the other end basically. Here you've got a giant armadillo. You've also got a sea lion, pretty much. And then as you look up here, you have a American manatee. So I'm down on the ground floor now, and everything on this floor is dedicated to these creatures behind me, mammals. So we're talking horses, anything along those lines basically, giraffes, you name it. It's dedicated to mammals. Let's have a look. So this here is a skeleton of a racehorse basically, called Polyamous, and the horse lived between 1902 to 1924 basically. So this here is called a two toes, and the clue is in the name. I don't know if you can see it, but there is only two toes on each foot, pretty much. So this here is a skeleton of a camel, which needs no introduction. And camels have been adapted over the centuries to live in the harsh environments that they do, pretty much. Camels can survive up to months without actually drinking water, believe it or not. And as you can see here, you've got a camel skull as well. This is from a Bactrial camel, basically, a male one. And as you can see the camel's feet there and how it's developed. This here is a donkey. It's called a Kiang donkey, and this is from India basically. So you've got the donkey there, obviously its skeletal remains, or an example of it. And then you've got here the skull, pretty much, and you can see it here in all its glory. So these donkeys were actually declared extinct in the 20th century, towards the end of it, and it is believed that these were the last official wild donkeys basically, as donkeys now are more domesticated, but these were believed to be the last official wild donkeys. And this animal here, I'll let you guess what this is by looking at the skull. There's something obvious on there as to what this is. So this is a rhinoceros. This is a Malay tapir basically, pretty much. So this is an example of a rhinoceros, as you can see here. So up there you've got a skull of a common donkey, so one that we know today, as you can see there. That is the skull of a zebra, a plain zebra, like what we know today, obviously on the African savannah. And here we've got a tapir skull basically, pretty much. And as I move down, you've got some more rhinoceros skulls here. Now this one is a Sumatran rhinoceros skull, and this one here is a black rhinoceros skull as well. Unfortunately, rhinos are targets of poachers for their horns. So sadly, in many African countries, they've taken steps to essentially preserve the rhinoceros populations, because obviously poachers will unfortunately kill the rhinoceroses, take the horns and sell it off for human consumption. So rhinoceroses nowadays are of huge importance in terms of conservation and preserving their bloodlines, etc. So this is here in front of me a striped hyena basically. So there's four types of hyenas around: striped, spotted, brown, and the aardwolf, pretty much. And this one here is the largest range of them all. And these normally are in North and Northeast Africa. So we're talking like Ethiopia, that kind of area there, basically. A cool fun fact about hyenas are a hyena has the strongest bite force, or one of the strongest bite forces of any animal. They're actually more related to cats than they are to dogs. People think that they're related to dogs, but they're actually more closely related to cats. But the bite force of a hyena can bite through bones and a lot of other things as well. So it's a very, very powerful animal. Up there you've got the cheetah, the world's fastest land animal. They can run up to 112 kilometers per hour, basically. And the body structure itself, the way it's built, helps it to run fast, basically. But it's a very, very, very fast animal. And then here you've got the most famous cat of them all, the lion, basically. So there's around 37 living species of lions. And lions are mainly based, obviously, in sub-Saharan Africa, in areas like Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, so on and so forth, basically. But lions are the only ones of the cat family to actually hunt and live in packs. All of the others tend to live in by themselves, but lions are a fantastic species of cat. And up there at the top, you've got a tiger skull, you've got a leopard skull, and then you've got a jaguar skull. So jaguars are mainly based in South America, so the Amazon, like Brazil area. Leopards are also based in African savanna, like lions. And tigers are mainly found in Asia, like sort of India area, and so on and so forth. And here you've got the African elephant, the largest land mammal on Earth. I can't remember the exact weight. I'll put it on the screen, but as you can see, it's absolutely humongous. Now, elephants are very unique, basically, because they use a lot of sound and stuff to communicate, pretty much. But this is an example of an elephant. So, as you can see, 3 elephant species exist today: the Asian elephant, the Elephas maximus, the African bush elephant, and I won't pronounce that, and the African forest elephant, basically. So as we walk around, you can see how big the foot is. I mean, that's huge. I mean, look at my hand. And here you've got an example of the evolution of the elephant. So the elephant started off as a foss, I won't pronounce that, from 55 million years ago. Pretty much 50 to 70 centimeters tall at the shoulder. And as time's gone on, it's got bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's gone to this, to this, to this, to this, to this, to this, and then to the elephant that we know today, basically. So as you can see, they're absolutely humongous hair. So here you've got another tiger skull hair, and here's some information regarding this. I don't know if you can see it, but it says here that the tiger's camouflage black stripes and orange and white fur are unique to each tiger. So every tiger's stripes are completely different, basically. Now, there are roughly around 3,200 tigers in the world, and the numbers have been dwindling for a long period of time. But yes, tigers are the biggest of the big cats. So this here is a southern elephant seal, basically, pretty much. And I believe these are found, if I'm not mistaken, in Antarctica. I'll check it. But you get a rough idea of what it looked like. So as you can see there, pretty much. And the males are 7 or 8 times heavier than the females. And you've got a example of its feet. So let me put my hand there. So you get a rough idea of how big the feet are compared to my hands. But you can see here exactly what it looked like. And it has been adapted over a period of time to adapt to the extreme cold conditions as well. So for example, it says temperature affects the way that animals function. Cold slows the chemical reactions taking place inside the body, and fluids become more viscous, meaning thicker, and may even freeze solids. Some animals have evolved to cope with extreme cold and take advantage of the benefits of cold environments, such as lower competition for resources and fewer predators. So you can see there, penguins banding together pretty much to keep their eggs warm during the harsh Antarctic winter. So up there on this elephant, you can see the elephant tusks right there, basically. You can't see a trunk, obviously, because it's not there, but normally the trunk will be in the middle, and that's used for obviously getting water and stuff, but the tusks would be there. And as you can see, you get an idea of obviously what an elephant skeleton would essentially look like, pretty much. So guys, earlier I mentioned about migrations of birds. So as you can see, you've got an idea here of birds that are migrating pretty much from sort of the Sahara region of Africa, pretty much, and they're moving north to sort of Europe, as you can see here. So for example, the reason they move, because high rainfall leads to more insect food for adult birds, pretty much, and more food leads to healthier birds being able to migrate sooner. Essentially, they make the move north, and they move to places like the UK, where we are now, Spain, France, Portugal, Germany, you name it. That's where they make the move to. And here's an example of the kind of birds that would migrate. So this here is called a Eurasian golden plover. So this one here is called that, and this one here is called a collared sand martin. So these are the examples of kinds of birds that would migrate during that kind of season. So here it is, the giraffe, as you can see, so you can get an idea of how tall it is. Pretty much its long neck, and then you can see here the giraffe's obviously skeleton and so on. And this here is a greater kudu, which is from South Africa, a nation with some of the best wildlife on earth. Then here you've got the hippopotamus, Africa's most dangerous land mammal. This animal kills more people in Africa than any other animal on the actual continent. Now, these weigh, I think, sometimes about 2 or 3 tons. They're absolutely humongous. And when they're underwater, they actually don't swim, they kind of glide on the water surface. But you can see an example here, and these are very, very territorial, basically. Very, very territorial. If they tend to shake their tail, pretty much, that's one way of them communicating as well. Hippos as well are very, very territorial, especially around their young. So hippo mothers especially are known to attack anything, whether it's lions, hyenas, crocodiles, even humans if they come near their young. It's important to note as well, the word hippopotamus actually translates to, I think, seahorse, if I'm not mistaken. But these here, don't let them look for you. These are very, very dangerous animals. This here is a Chillingham wild cattle, basically, right here, pretty much. So this here is a big horn sheep, which comes from Montana in the USA. You can see that there. That there in the middle is a Siberian musk deer as well. You've got here, you've got a Maxwell's Dullica. And then here as well, you have a Saiga, pretty much. So a huge variety of goats and deers. This one here in front of me is a lowland Anoa from Indonesia. So these are all species that you would find mainly in sort of Australia. So for example, you've got a spotted tail quoll right here. Up there, you've got a koala, pretty much. Australia's largest tree-living mammal, basically. They use their sharp claws to climb. And this one here needs no intro. This is a red kangaroo. There are about 60 species of kangaroo in Australia. Well, of hopping marsupial in Australia, including kangaroos, wallabies, and bettongs. But this here is an example of one, pretty much. Here you've got a spectacled hare wallaby, pretty much, which comes from the Montebello Islands in Australia. You've got a silky shrew opossum, and as you can see here, just a variety of animals that are found down under. So this here is a flying lemur, as you can see there, and you've got a skeleton of one there. And this here is a capybara. These are actually found in South America. I know there's a park in Brazil, in Curitiba, that has these, basically, these animals, but these are called capybaras, pretty much. There you've got a koipu, and as you move along, you've got a West African poto, you've got a southern lesser galago, right there in the middle, and up there you have what they call an eye, pretty much, which is a special type of lemur. And here you got more lemurs. So this is a black and white ruffled lemur. This is a ring-tailed lemur. This is another ring-tailed lemur there, pretty much, and that is the skeleton of a brown lemur. And then here you've got a red howler, and so on and so forth. So these are all types of monkeys. So this is a putty-nosed monkey. That is a Diana monkey. Another putty-nosed monkey there. And then you've got a skeleton of a black-handed spider monkey. And this big boy here is a proboscis monkey as well. And then you've got a Bornean orangutan, basically from Borneo, which is in Southeast Asia. You've got a Western gorilla. This comes from Gabon in Africa. Get an idea of how it stands. Here you've got another Western gorilla, but this is the largest of all the living apes, basically. This one comes from equatorial Africa, so we're talking equatorial Guinea, Congo, those areas there basically. Here you've got a chimpanzee, which are believed to be the closest relatives of humans in terms of living species basically, pretty much. And here you've got the most famous living creature on Earth, the most dangerous one, the human being basically, pretty much. So this is a model of a seabird habitat, and this is meant to be one in western Scotland. So as you can see there, you can see the seabirds there in the middle, and then you've got all the cliffs and rocks as well. So they sort of live in like a colony basically of many seabirds, but that's meant to be an example right there. So here you can see a bigger and better diagram. So you can see here the rough terrain and one or two birds there in front of me as well, and then you can see what's meant to be like the ocean or the waves. So you can see how they essentially gather around sort of the coastal areas and pretty much live. I'm guessing they hunt fish, some of them, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, but you can see exactly a rough sketch of what their lives would have been like in this location. And then here as well, you've got another example of this right in front of me, as you can see. So overall, how did I find the museum? Overall, it wasn't a bad museum. One thing I loved about this museum is how small it is. So if you ever go, you'll realise that it's on 2 floors, but both floors are very small, so you can navigate them pretty quickly. I've been to museums where to walk around the museum, to walk around one floor can take like an hour and so on and so forth. So this museum's nice and compact, which is good. The stuff in there is not too bad either, and to be fair, the staff are very friendly, so not a bad place to go, if I'm honest with you. That is it, guys, for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Let me know where I should go next. I've got some cool locations that I'm thinking of going, but in the meantime, let me know what you think. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.